Good morning, council members, staff, and members of the public. It is Tuesday, May 20th, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Policy and Strategy Committee to order and begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We have regrets today from Councillor Kathy Moore and Councillor Pam Hubley. Is there any announcements, acknowledgements, or recognitions? Mayor McLean-Weil.
I would just like to recognize the organizers for the para-hockey tournament that was held at the LCLC on the weekend. They did an amazing job. It was very inspiring to watch para-hockey and an exciting final gold medal game between British Columbia and Quebec. Went into overtime, so it was like the icing on the cake for an exciting weekend. So recognition to them for the work that they did in hosting here, and really, I think, bringing more awareness to para-hockey and what and how inclusive it is, because within each team there were able-bodied as well as disabled members, and there were a full range of ages and genders playing. So it really is an inclusive sport.
That game sounds like the one that happened the same day between Atlantic and Alberta. And it was tied, and then one team got a goal, and another team got a goal, and another team got a goal, and went back and forth, and it was very intense to watch right down to the overtime goal, winning that game as well. Councillor Smith.
Thank you. Last week I was invited to a small gathering celebrating improvements made at the Walden Fire Department in 2023 and 2024 with funding from Modal and the province of Nova Scotia. This included the replacement of 2 windows, 2 bay doors, 2 entrance doors, a new concrete pad, and a drain dug to direct water away from the building. The whole hall was also stained and painted, top to bottom, inside and out. One thing to highlight, especially on Accessibility Awareness Day, is that the department chose to paint their walls gray with red trim because one of their members is visually impaired, and this is a color combination recommended by the CNIB. I want to echo the sentiments shared that day about this department. Most of the work was done by the members themselves. It is one of the most resilient, hardworking, painstaking, and patient departments in our area. They're led by Melanie Langell, who was just voted chief for her 12th year. They are small, but they're a major force in the community, providing not only emergency services, but a whole lot of entertainment all year round. And on that note, I want to make sure that everyone knows about their next fundraiser, the Fish and Chips drive-through this coming Saturday from 2 to 5. And you can get 2-piece fish and chips, tartar sauce and ketchup included, coleslaw and popper water for $15. So I just want to say congratulations to that department.
A small but mighty hall with true volunteerism. Are there any other announcements, acknowledgements, or recognition? Seeing none, we do have a proclamation on access awareness, and I'll turn that over to Mayor McLean-Weil to make that proclamation.
This is a proclamation in support of the municipality of the District of Lunenburg recognizing Access Awareness Week. Whereas the week of May 25th to the 31st is recognized as Access Awareness Week, and Access Awareness Week aims to celebrate achievements made both by and for persons with disabilities in the area of accessibility, transportation, housing, employment, recreation, education, and communication. And this is the 39th year that this public awareness initiative has taken place in Nova Scotia. And the theme for 2025 Access Awareness Week is Our Voices, Our Votes, Disability Rights in Action. And accessibility barriers are many and interconnected. Removing and preventing them is challenging and complex. And the foundation of Nova Scotia's Accessibility Act is to provide support and protect the rights of persons with disabilities to full inclusion and accessibility by the identification, prevention, and removal of accessibility barriers. And Access Awareness Week promotes the inclusion of all Nova Scotians with disabilities as full citizens within our community. And through public awareness, community partnerships, and education, this campaign aims to foster an environment of equal participation for persons with disabilities within the District of Lunenburg. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Elspeth McLean-Weil, on behalf of the municipality of the District of Lunenburg, do hereby proclaim May 25th to 31st, 2025 as Access Awareness Week, and will be holding a flag-raising ceremony next Tuesday at noon during our council meeting. And I hope that everyone here will join us, and those that maybe are watching at home will join us for that event.
Thank you for that. We don't have anybody in our gallery for public input today, but just as a reminder for any folks listening or watching our agenda after the fact, that public input is one of several opportunities for the public to engage with council. Residents are welcome to use the public input portion of the meeting to share their thoughts with council on municipal topics that are important to them. So we'll move down to changes and approval to the agenda. And up first is Councillor Smith.
Yes, I would like to add uranium exploration and mining and our watershed to the agenda, the LaHave River watershed. Over the weekend, I was contacted by many residents about this issue. The RFP went out on May 14th and is coming back. Proposals are due on June 11th. And so this is very time sensitive, and residents are looking for us to have a position on what impacts this might have on health in the area. One of the areas that was announced for RFP was East Dalhousie, which borders on District 6, which is why I heard a lot about it. But I heard about it throughout Modal. So I have a very simple request that I would like us to discuss under that agenda item. So I'm just looking for council to permit us to put that on the agenda at this point.
Because that would fall under councillor matters and could be added as 10.1, titled uranium mining concerns. Is there any other changes or approval to the agenda?
Thank you, Chair. I'm requesting that we add an item under 12 in camera contract negotiation under section 22(2)E of the MGA.
Okay, so I'm getting knowledge that we would need to have a separate motion to add those two items before approving the agenda in its entirety. So we have a motion put on the floor by Mayor McLean-Weil. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Burns. All those in favor of the added agenda items? Agenda is approved with the motion is carried on the added agenda items. Okay, so now on the agenda, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Councillor Smith, is there a second? Okay. And Councillor Oikel, all those in favor? Motion is approved on the agenda. Okay. We do have a set of minutes of April 15th. Are there any errors, omissions, or deletions on that? Seeing none, we'll approve those minutes. There is no business arising from the minutes that I'm aware of. I'm seeing
no public input at the last meeting.
Okay. We don't have any presentations, referrals, so we're going to go down to staff reports, and under Recreation Department, we have a major event grant application from the Golden Shores Music Society, and we have Ruth Wallman who's going to present on that.
Good morning, Council. Okay, so before you is a report regarding a major event application by the Golden Shores Music Society for the Shipyard Shindig Music and Art Festival. This event is taking place June 14th at the Shipyard's Landing in Bridgewater. The Golden Shores Music Society is a recently formed nonprofit organization that aims to raise funds for charities and organizations on the South Shore through music-based events and gatherings. The proceeds from this particular event will be donated to Blue Nose Coastal Action. The Shipyard Shindig, the event which they are seeking financial assistance for, is a one-day music festival that will feature food trucks, beer garden, and a marketplace for artists and makers to sell jewelry, clothing, and crafts. This event is expected to contribute to the local economy through accommodations and vendor participation. Some performers have confirmed stays at Lighthouse Motel and Cottages and the Best Western. A number of vendors, including artisans, food trucks, are based in the municipality of the District of Lunenburg. So the request before you for the Golden Shores Music Society, they filed an application, requesting $10,000 in funding through this event, through the major event grant application, taking into account the event's overall scale, budget, and expected attendance, the economic impact for the municipality. The recommended amount for approval is $1,500.
Thank you very much for bringing that forward. Before we put the motion on the floor, is there any questions towards Ruth that council has? I'm not seeing any. Would somebody be prepared to bring forward that motion? Councillor Burns.
To the Chair and members of Council, I move that the Policy and Strategy Committee recommends to Council that Municipal Council approve the Golden Shores Music Society's application for funding through the Major Event Grant in the amount of $1,500 for the Shipyard Shindig Music and Art Festival event taking place June 14th, 2025.
Do we have a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Councillor Oikle. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Opposed is Councillor Brooks. Motion is carried. Going to move down to the Planning Department and item 9.2.1, municipal-wide planning, drinking water protection. And we have that scheduled for 10 o'clock.
We can jump to the uranium.
Yeah. So, at no fault of the people presenting, we're going to follow up with them and see if we can do that earlier. But in the meantime, we'll move down to mayor's, deputy mayor's, councilors' matters. And item 10.1, under Councillor Smith, we added the uranium mining. If you would like to present on that topic now, that would be good.
Okay. I had thought I'd be doing this after the presentation on watershed, so take that into account as I begin. But I just want to recognize that we're in an awkward position of talking today about how we address the provincial mandate of protecting municipal drinking water supply while the province potentially undermines the same interest for unserviced residents through what may be seen as risky resource development. Yesterday I spent some time looking at the 500 pages of submissions to the Public Bills Committee on Bill 6. One of the things that this bill did was to lift the ban on uranium mining. There were a lot of familiar names in the submissions on that bill. People from throughout Modal submitted opposition to uranium mining ban being lifted. Just last week, on May 14th, the province announced RFPs for uranium exploration in 4 sites, including East Dalhousie, which is just past the border of District 6. One of the neighboring communities is Franey Corner. And that site for exploration is at the top of the LaHave River watershed, and that connects many of our communities. It's in my district, but it's also covers the districts of many people at this table. So I just want to say I share the concerns of residents who've contacted me about what impacts uranium exploration and mining could have on health in the area. Many of the submissions opposing Bill 6 were from doctors, and I won't go into all the health concerns now, but it should raise alarm bells. And I think it's our responsibility to speak up on issues that affect the well-being of our communities. So what I would like to ask is that we direct staff to bring us a report on uranium exploration and mining in our watershed so that we can answer residents' questions and decide if we want to take an advocacy position. I'll leave it there. I wonder if we should also check back in with NSFM because we left it to them to respond to that letter from Minister Lohr from February 11th about support for greater resource development. But for now, I would like us to consider giving staff direction to bring us back a report on this issue. And like I say, it is a very timely, urgent issue because things are moving very, very quickly. They've lifted the ban despite opposition from the public and from the Assembly of Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Chiefs. And the RFPs are due back on June 11th. So it's moving very, very quickly. And I'll leave it there and see what others think.
Councillor Oikel.
Just a note, like I do feel that it is a concern. It's a very big concern. And I believe what we're going to be talking about today regarding the drinking water is to discuss also expanding the natural watershed, because I don't think that area is within the LaHave watershed, but rather the natural watershed. Am I correct in that that area is not the main one right now, but it's part of the edge of the natural? Because there's two different ones.
So there are two different definitions. It's actually a different watershed, though. This is the LaHave versus the drinking water watershed is the Petite upriver of Hebb's Dam. So you're totally correct that there's regulations which protect a certain area within drinking water watersheds, and those historically were not set based on the natural boundaries. They were more arbitrarily determined. But the LaHave River watershed is much larger and is not currently used as a public drinking water source for any municipality.
But does it not, the runoff from, is that not considered the natural watershed, like what we call the natural watershed, where it's the runoff into those lakes, which
Yes,
then
exactly.
do supply? And right now, we don't have any protection up there, and that's what we're going to be discussing today, possibility, including our protection into that. At least that's what I understood in the report.
We'll leave that for that.
Yeah,
portion of the
but I'm
agenda.
just
Yep.
wanting to clarify that.
Councillor Brooks and then Councillor Reinhardt.
So if we formulated a advocacy position that was in opposition to this, that's just our feelings, right? The province can just say, thank you for your thoughts, and we're going to go ahead. So we can have staff prepare a report, but to be clear, the province doesn't need to listen to us at all. Is that correct? Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
I'm just going to let staff answer that on the mic so that anybody listening can hear the answer.
Thank you, Chair. So the federal government actually regulates uranium mining. The provincial government regulates exploration of uranium mining, and neither are bound to follow any request from a municipality.
Councillor Reinhardt.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Councillor Smith for bringing this to council, because I definitely had similar thoughts as I was reading, preparing for this meeting. That was, the bulk of it is going to be discussing water protection and drinking water protection. And a lot of people contacted me when Bill 6 was coming through to share their concerns about uranium mining and fracking on drinking water. So although they're not exactly the same topic, I feel like we can't talk about one without acknowledging the other. Yes, so I will be in support of looking into this.
Councillor Bell, and then Councillor Councillor Oikel, and then Councillor Smith, I'll circle back to you to restate and get your motion on the floor so that we can move forward with that decision.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do know that this mining, especially for the product that it is, does concern a lot of people. I am somewhat hesitant investing municipal time into a provincial and federal regulated industry. I feel that the MLA for the area is the one that the concern should be directed towards, not the councillors. I don't see this as part of our mandate, and I will not be supporting it.
Thank you. I will be supporting it because I do feel it is part of our mandate to be a voice for our residents. And that, yes, they can also go to their MLA, but we can also learn more about it to help learn ourselves and our residents to learn more, and to also support them in this conviction to not have such types of mining in our community.
Councillor Smith, do you want to put the motion that you had on the floor officially?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't craft a motion because I thought it was just staff direction and we wouldn't require a motion. But
Yes, in order for the committee to direct staff to prepare a report, we need a motion from the committee. But it's very simple, direct staff to prepare a report.
okay, and I just want to sum up a last point before I put the motion on the floor. Is that okay? Yeah, I just want to say, like, to Councillor Burke's point, maybe this is not our jurisdiction, but we were very clearly asked by Minister Lohr to take a position in favor of greater resource development when he sent us that letter and asked us to put out a press release supporting resource development expansion, which then, we figured out during the session that included fracking and uranium mining. So I think we, in some ways, we've been asked to take a position, and I would like more information. So I move that the council directs staff to bring back a report as soon as possible regarding the risks of uranium mining and exploration in our watershed.
Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Reinhardt. Discussion on the motion. And Mayor McLean-Weil, did you have your hand up for discussion on the motion?
I just wanted to make sure that the motion was clear what we were asking for, and rather than just a staff report, but I think Councillor Smith has made it clear in the motion.
Councillor Oikel.
And I'm wondering whether or not, because we're doing it in policy and strategy, if it's going to come back next month in policy and strategy, or if it can come back in a regular council meeting.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that timing would be dictated on how long it takes to prepare the report rather than the meeting itself.
And just one comment I have, similar to Councillor Bell, but because we're providing direction to staff to prepare a report, it's more workload on staff which is a little bit of a concern to me because they're working on municipal planning. So I just wanted to add that. Councillor Brooks.
Are we confident that our staff has the technical experience to do this research and to find out the health implications of uranium in our community? Do we have people on staff who are qualified to do that?
That's not a question I can answer, but I have two, one to the left and one to the right. One of them are going to take that question, Councillor Brooks, or both.
I'll start. Tom can wrap it up. We certainly do not have mining staff. We don't have folks that have any expertise in uranium. We're often tasked with getting information for council on areas that are outside of the expertise of the staff that are hired. So part of what we do is bring back information from other sources, for example, from the provincial department, or accessing expertise from other areas. And that's something that council always has to bear in mind as a source of the information that you're receiving.
Councillor Brooks, you have a follow-up to that? You can
I do. So would this potentially require us hiring an individual to prepare this report from outside of our staff?
No, unless the motion specifically directed that. That's not how these types of motions are interpreted. That you're asking staff to go back and bring some more information so the council can have a more informed discussion. If council, I can't think of a scenario where staff would interpret this kind of motion to be go hire some expertise. We don't have the budget approval for that. That would be a different kind of motion.
And if I could just add, because we're going to be relying on third parties to provide some of this information, we can't guarantee a quick turnaround because we'll be relying upon, we'll do a scan of the literature that's available, but if we feel that it's necessary to reach out to particular parties that have a deeper knowledge base, it might take some time to get that information back. I know other municipalities have been in the paper about this matter. Pictou County and Warden Parker has commented on it. Brian Connell, councillor in Annapolis County, which is another area, and I forget the name of the councillor in West Hants that's also brought it to their council. So we can also reach out to those municipalities to see what information they've gathered with respect to the issue, because it's in their particular municipalities. But we might not be able to return in 30 days with a detailed report.
Councillor Bell, then Councillor Burns, and Mayor McLean-Weil.
We are continuously reminded that our staff are working at the maximum. We have other projects like land use planning, housing, and the sale of properties, rezoning, things that will directly affect our residents, things that we are responsible for. Does that mean some of these items may be put on hold while we do some of the province's work for them? We've already seen this with the coastal protection, things that the province are responsible for, and it's just easy to put it off on the municipalities if they're willing to accept the responsibility. No, I can't support this, and I feel that our staff's time is valuable in doing what we've already asked them to do. If you give them additional projects, then we should be willing to hire additional staff.
Councillor Burns.
So for me, what this comes down to, ultimately what we're looking to do here, I think, is get to a position where the council can take an advocacy position or choose not to, but to do so on relatively informed terms. So aside from whatever happens today, I think that is the end goal. And so my support of this today is in support of getting to an end goal in which we can decide to take an advocacy position or not. And if the motion today fails, then I'm certainly going to support Councillor Smith or whoever it is that brings forward the next motion that gets us to that decision point at that point. So that's really where my support for this is coming from. I too have heard from residents on this, and I do want to just circle back to this because I struggle because, as many of you have heard me speak to before, about that's the province's job. Tired of the province's job getting kicked down to us. But in this case, they wrote us a letter that said, back us up on this. And so this is really a decision to say, are we backing you up on this, or are we telling you to pound sand? And to do so in an informed way. And so that is what I think puts this in our scope. And quite frankly, we've been asked to take on other things from the province, that laws that they have passed, and then decide to kick down to us because they don't like it. So I don't think that it is politically reasonable for us to then just take something on the chin if we don't like it anyways. This is a chance for us to say we don't like this if that is the will of council. So I would suggest that let's look towards getting to that end goal. What is the best way we can make that decision to get to that end goal of what our advocacy position will be or may not be? I don't want to predispose what will happen there. But that's really what I think today is about, is getting to that point where we can have that informed discussion so the public knows that we're going to have that discussion. They can have input into whether they want us to make an advocacy position on this or not, and then to make that decision. So that's it.
Mayor McLean-Weil.
I hear what a number of the councillors, particularly Councillor Bell, are saying about our staff workload and the enormity of what a staff report could look like. So I think if we want to do this in a way that helps us be more informed, I think is what Councillor Smith is advocating for, is that we be very focused around implications for the watershed. And I mean, the health issues, that's for somebody else to make a determination on. I think from our perspective, what really falls into our jurisdiction is the impact on watershed, and whether and what are the implications there for uranium mining in our watershed. And I think if we're really focused on that, that then allows staff to be very focused in the research that they do. So I think that's what we need, what we can speak to. I think from a jurisdictional point of view, that gives us the grounds to speak with a voice that should be heard, is because of our jurisdiction around that. So it's a shared jurisdiction, but I think that's what we need to focus on.
Councillor Smith.
Yeah, and just further to that, I just want to remind folks that when the NSFM responded to us regarding that letter from Minister Lohr, they said that with regards to resource development, it is imperative that we are clear on the ask and that the province is aware of limitations, for example, on protection of our watersheds and our water sources, so that we can all move forward together in the best way. So I agree, the focus should be on watersheds, and as part of this, maybe we can get more information from the NSFM as well as other municipalities.
Any further discussion? Mayor McLean-Weil.
I just want to make sure that's clear in the direction we're giving staff.
So the notes that I have on the motion is direct staff to prepare a report for committee on the risks of exploration and mining of uranium in our watershed.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. Those opposed? Opposed are Councillor Bell, Councillor Bell, Councillor Brooks, and myself. The motion is carried. All right. We'll continue on in our agenda and go to our in-camera item, and therefore we need a motion to move in camera. Moved by Councillor Oikel, seconded by Mayor McLean-Weil. All those in favor? We are now in camera.